Welcome to the Genius Way Show with your host, Ben Hummell. The aim of this show is to provide education, encouragement, and insights for people who are on their own personal development journeys. As a psychotherapist, teacher, author, and creator of the Genius Way process, Ben will focus on identifying common challenges to living a purposeful life, and will share valuable psychological and spiritual tools to help you make healthy and empowering life changes. We hope you enjoy the show.
Hey friends, welcome to the Genius Way Show. I'm your host, Ben Hummell. Today we're going to talk about the risk of not taking a risk. Okay, so we're going to dig into this. It's an interesting topic, and it's a little bit it's a little bit of a journey. So let's get right into it. So as we know, every one of us is here for a limited amount of time. You know, we're all here for literally who knows how long. Nobody knows how long we're here, but we know that it has a beginning, it has an end. And during that time, there are a few things that it seems like we're supposed to do here. Make connections with people, have some kind of career, have a social structure, have some certain accomplishments, so forth and so on. You know, there's some milestones. There are also existential tasks, existential developmental tasks that we're supposed to do. And so one of these tasks is to literally be the best version of ourselves that we can be. Like, in other words, find something that is important for us as an individual to be, to express, to explore, and to actually do that, to find our gifts that we came here to share with the world and actually share them. So right now, let me just ask you a quick question. And not to put you on the spot, but are you sharing the gifts that you came here to give to the world? Are you actually in an expressive mode of sharing what you have? You know, and if the answer is yes, God bless you. That's good. That's really good. If the answer is no, then we need to look into why. Why hasn't that happened yet? Why are your gifts ungiven? Why are your gifts unknown to you? You know, and we all have this to some extent. And that's why the idea of genius is really perfect for this, because it's something that we're born with that we have to spend our lives kind of uncovering and then in turn giving it away to the world. We have a gift, talents, callings within us that we're born with. And as we kind of open ourselves to it, we get to a point where we either are comfortable giving it or not. And if we're not comfortable giving what's intrinsically ours, there's something rotten in Denmark. There's something in the way. There's something, stopping us from doing so. And we need to know what that is, because the gifts must be given to accomplish that kind of existential developmental task. Okay, so the topic of the show is about what the risk is in not taking a risk. So the risk I'm talking about is about being that authentic aspect of yourself, giving the gifts you were born with, kind of expanding them, opening them up, and really, letting them out into the world for everyone to see, And a lot of times those are kind of combined with the daydreams that we have. Like, people would dream about whatever, being a scientist or being a musician or being anything you can dream about that you imagine would make your life very, very fulfilled and very rewarding. There's something of truth in that. There's a grain of truth in that goes all the way back to your inborn genius, right? And so if that dream hasn't been realized, or rather, if you haven't started to go towards that dream and you're kind of keeping it at bay out here, you're keeping it way out here in the possibility land, or like, I'll get to that one day. We all know how that goes. The minutes tick by, and like, I'm looking at myself now at this age. I'm like, what happened? How did this happen? This is insane. How did my body become this old? Because inside, I feel the same. This will happen to everybody if they're lucky enough to live this long, right? And so as these things go by, also our opportunity to express our genius and the gifts that we have, that goes by too, right? And so there becomes less and less and less of time to express this really important part of ourselves. And so usually it comes down to when we understand what it is. And for example, let's use, I am going to go and sing in front of people. Let's just say that, literally could be anything. It's whatever it is for you. But let's use that. I'm going to go and sing in front of people. But every time I do, even at karaoke, I get too scared of being terrible or being rejected or being laughed at. So I just don't do it. But yet, when I'm at home, I sing all the time, and it makes me feel really good to sing. And I love this type of music, and I'm always listening to music and singing with it. And there it is. So there's a gap between expressing something yourself and taking the risk to express it and kind of holding back and keeping this gift that you have secret or unexpressed or, underdeveloped. So the risk is right there of like, will people accept my gift? Will people value my gift? Will I be, will I be accepted giving this gift? So right there is the opportunity to step off into something new. So a risk is like, the risk is like, I'm here safe on the shore, or let's say I'm on the dock and there's a boat out there. And right now I'm safe. I'm not in the water. But if I take a step on that boat and somehow the boat moves or the water moves or something, I might fall in the water, and then I'm not on the dock or on the boat. I'm just in the middle of the water, right? So the risk is kind of like that. I'm leaving what's safe and what I know. I can sing in my shower. I can sing in the living room. I might be able to sing in front of one of my friends, but not the other ones. That's safe. The risk is, let me take it to the next step. And anybody that sings doesn't have to take it to the next step. But if that's what it is for you, and that's a dream of yours, then that's the risk. That's the little step that needs to be taken from the safe dock onto the boat that can go anywhere on the ocean, basically. Okay, so that's the distance that needs to be traveled with that risk, right? And it's scary to take a risk. Once you take that risk, let's say, okay, I'm going to go and sing in public. Let's say you go and do an open mic and you're very nervous about it and you haven't done it before, and you finally decide to do it, and you're very, very well aware of the risk. You could get booed off the stage. Your voice could crack, but you could do really well. You could also be recognized. You could also get a lot of applause and a lot of appreciation for your gift. It could also feel really good when you do it. If it weren't for that last part, it would be stupid to take a risk. If it was only a possibility of doing terribly. Okay. So there's this beautiful part of whoa, this might work out. This might happen. This might be something really big. It feels like it could be for me. Okay. So if you have something like that, and there is a gap between your comfortable space being in it and thinking about it and what it would take to take the risk, it's only this far. And again, you could walk off the dock and sink right into the water. Okay, you would know that. So let's say again, we go back to the open mic. You go there and you're very nervous, and you get on there and you're playing your guitar or you're singing and your voice is cracking and you're nervous and everybody sees it, and you get some of that kind of applause. Okay, so that didn't go very well. But I bet you know something more now than you did had you not done it. You know what the lights feel like on your face. You know what it feels like to be in front of people. You know what the nerves feel like. And you learned something. Something changed. You know now that even though this might not have been a great experience, you know what it feels like. You have left the shore, you've left the dock, you went on that boat and you took a little journey. Okay. And maybe next time, now that you know, next time it's going to be better. But if you didn't take that risk, you would not know. Okay. And so, since we're only here for a little while, the risk is worth it. It's always worth it to know more about yourself, to grow, to follow this instinct, to follow this, this thing that feels like a dream and a promise. It's always worth the risk to do so. But if you can't take that risk, there's something blocking you from taking it, and it's good to know what that is. Okay, let's watch a short video about this topic. And on the other side of that, we're going to come back and we're going to look at this a little bit more closely.
What I wish I knew at 20 instead of 30. Comfort zones are cozy, but dangerously deceptive. Let's talk about why taking risks can lead to a more fulfilling life. We all love comfort, right? The comfy couch, the predictable job, the familiar faces. But here's the kicker. Staying in your comfort zone can actually hold you back. Think about it. When was the last time you felt truly alive? Chances are it was when you took a leap of faith. Maybe it was starting a new job, moving to a new city, or even just striking up a conversation with a stranger. The truth is, our genius shows up when we challenge ourselves. It's when we take risks that we discover our authentic selves. We grow, we learn, we become the best versions of who we are meant to be. So next time you're tempted to stay put, remember, if you don't risk anything, you risk even more. Step out, take that leap, and watch your life transform.
So after that little bit of inspiring video, let's flip this idea on its head, okay? Let's shift perspective and see if we can get some more insight about what this issue is all about. So I'm going to ask you, what is the risk of not taking a risk? Meaning, what is the risk of remaining the same as you have been? Most people don't think about that as a risk. But in this world where we're kind of passing from beginning to end, staying the same is actually unhealthy. Think about it. When we're born, it's a risk just to come through the birth canal and come out into this, crazy world and see what happens with all kinds of dangers and weirdness and, strange things that could happen to us. Every time we come through the birth canal, or anybody comes through the birth canal, it's a risk. That's the thing. When you start to walk, it's a risk. You might fall down, and you do quite a few times, but then you eventually learn to walk. What about, going to school? You stay home, you're with your parents, you might go to preschool, whatever. But when you first step out of your house to be in another social setting with other kids and learn that, there's so many things that our young brains are learning to do at that point and change. That's a risk as well. How about the first time you told somebody that you loved them? That's scary. It's a risk. I was this, and now I've been this vulnerable to say, hey, I really love you. And the risk is, are they going to say back? They might not. So on and on and on throughout our lives, we have to take the risk of leaving what we are, what we know of ourselves, to become more of ourselves. Like let's use that example. When you said, I love you to somebody, you are becoming somebody who is more comfortable expressing their feelings, more comfortable and less ashamed of saying what you feel inside and sharing that on the outside. The risk is you could get ridiculed. You could get rejected. You could get ignored, all kinds of things. Or you can hear that beautiful thing coming back, I love you too. Okay? And you wouldn't have got that unless you said it, unless you shared it, unless you opened it up. So all of those little milestones, they don't stop. Once you get to be 40 or whatever it is, it doesn't stop, you know? And by the time we're 40, I love what Carl Jung says. Everything up until the age of 40 is just research, right? So it doesn't stop at that time, at midlife, the time for you to kind of leave what you've known to embark on a new version of yourself or a further development of yourself. It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop until life stops. There is always something to learn, something more to grow into, a risk to be taken so that you become more of yourself. Okay, that's the whole journey here. We're not done. We're not finished. We're not finished products. You know, even when we pass, it doesn't mean that we're finished, especially people who have not taken that healthy risk to grow into more of themselves. This whole life is about personal development. The whole life is about unfolding our genius into a fully expressive version of it, of the thing we were born with. So, you know, if you didn't learn to walk when you were little, that would not be correct. You're meant to walk, right? You're meant to walk. If you didn't learn to socialize and it's just kind of stayed, you know, just knowing your immediate family, that would not be correct. There's more. As you can see now as an adult, there's more. And so on and so forth. Same thing with unfolding your genius. If you haven't stepped into your genius expression, where you're giving your gifts and receiving a huge amount of fulfillment from giving the things that are important to you and expressing them, you haven't moved, you haven't allowed that part of yourself to develop to the state where it could. Okay? So every single time we move into a deeper dimension of ourselves, a deeper expression, a more comfortable, aware expression of ourselves, there's a risk involved every single time. And the more identified we become with who we've been, the less likely we are to take a risk to be something else. And the thing is, you don't lose yourself. Anything that's true about yourself is never lost. Never. But what is losable is never actually unfolding what you have within you in this genius aspect of yourself. Not unfolding it and consequently not knowing that part of yourself, not stepping into that aspect of your life. And that is what is at stake here. Another way to look at this is to shift the perspective on this. And every day ask yourself this question. What risk am I taking by not opening up, by not expressing my genius, by not taking a risk? What am I risking? What am I risking by staying the same? Right? When you do that, you only have one answer. What I'm risking is the further development of who I am, the further unfoldment of who I am. If I choose just to stay the same because I'm afraid, I can, we can appreciate the fear, but we're afraid to walk. We're afraid to say, I love you. We're afraid to go to school. We're afraid to everything, every time there's a risk, there's a little bit of fear. Okay. But so far with those things that I just mentioned, you didn't allow the fear to stop you from taking that risk. But when it comes to expressing your dream or, your genius qualities, like I'm talking about, or reaching for something greater or deeper in your life, that fear is there to kind of force you to make take the risk. Okay. It can't really force you, but it's kind of the impetus and it's kind of the little hurdle to get over to take that risk. It's like from one side, you can't see it, but as soon as you step off the dock, Now you see the possibility. Okay, so flipping this on its head, it's not about taking a risk. It's like, what do I risk by not taking this risk? What do I risk by keeping my dream hidden? What do I risk by keeping that part of myself that is so kind of hopeful and interested and excited about this aspect of my life? What do I risk by keeping that hidden? What's not going to happen if I don't express that? And that's really how we should be seeing this thing. Not about what's going to happen if I do, what's going to happen if I don't? You know, will I live a life that is just kind of regrettable? You know? So again, at midlife, your life isn't supposed to go downhill. Even, let's talk about a midlife crisis, okay? Which some of you might be in right now. A midlife crisis, we discussed this in other shows, but a crisis is just a time of choice. It's a time to make a choice. And by midlife, you have seen a lot of things that worked in your life and a lot of things that didn't. And if we become stuck with who we are at that time, we're missing all the beautiful changes and shifts and quantum leaps we can take when we kind of review our life and say, okay, this worked, this didn't work. I'm going to let go of what doesn't work for the possibility and the experiment to see what is going to work. And that's the risk right there. If you're willing to take that risk to experiment with your life, try new things in the direction of your heart, of your genius, try new things in the direction of like, this feels good to me. This feels like a good possibility. This feels like this has something important in it for me. When you go in that direction and you get used to taking those kind of risks, you are going to let your genius unfold. It will unfold. It will happen. And you get better and better and better at listening to that thing that's pointing in the direction of your genius expression, of that hidden to the world, selection of gifts and talents and callings and things to say with your life. You are trusting that feeling. You start trusting that, okay, this is pointing me in a really good direction. This is pointing me in a direction where my life is going to be fulfilling, and it is 1,000% worth the risk. Okay, so let's take a short commercial break. And on the other side of that commercial, we're going to do a guided visualization that will help you understand this a little bit more. Hey guys, I'm really excited to let you know that I'm finishing up my new course, the Genius Way Process course. This course is for anyone who wants to discover what's in their genius, their inborn gifts, their talents, and their callings. In this course, I'm going to provide you with the 10 life skills that we all need to access our individual genius and to make it a part of our everyday life. If you'd like to know more about the Genius Way Process course and when it's available, go to thegeniusway.com and sign up to get notified. I can't wait to share this with you. Close your eyes and take a deep breath in, and then deeply exhale. Imagine that you're standing in front of an ancient stone temple. This temple is known as the Temple of Possibilities. You walk up the steps and go inside. As you walk down a long hallway, you begin to think about a dream you have for your life that you haven't realized yet. You're aware of a risk that you'll need to take to realize this dream. What is this risk? What are the feelings associated with the possibility of taking this risk? At the end of the hallway, you approach two windows. Through either of these windows, you can see the possibilities of what your life will look like if you stay exactly where you are, or if you take the risk to focus on your dream. Take a few moments to see what happens in each of these windows of possibility. Using the insight that you've gained from this experience, notice if there's anything you want to take into your life to practice or act upon. And now, with this experience fully intact in your awareness, and when you're ready, open your eyes and come back into this room. So I want to share another quote with you around this subject. And it's by an author named Dennis Waitley. He says, "Life is inherently risky. And there's only one big risk you should avoid at all costs, and that is the risk of doing nothing." Okay, boy, that's pretty intense, huh? The risk of doing nothing, which is kind of what we're talking about today. The thing is, we've been given this life by something. Okay, I'm not going to get into religion here or whatever, but this life has kind of been given. Here we are. We have a life with whatever opportunities we have in it, and part of the opportunity is to bring out the core of who we are to express in the world, okay? And part of that means that you're going to have to take some kind of chance to bring that out. It's just kind of how it's set up. You're going to have to take some chance to bring out what is precious to you and share it with the world that you find around you, okay? And I'm not talking about needing to be famous or, super successful. I'm talking about sharing the genius, your gifts, your talents, your skills, the things that make you as an individual important and special and valuable because there's only one of you. Sharing that with the world you find around yourself, right? And there's a point to that. It's bigger than our little personality likes to think it is. It's bigger than the idea of like, oh, who am I to share what I feel? Who am I to share my dreams? Why should I get to live my dreams? And my question to you is, why shouldn't you? Why? You are literally unique in all the world. There will never be another one of you, ever. This happens one time. And so that shows you how important your life is. And the genius that you were born with is meant to be here and play an intrinsic part with the rest of the world that you find around yourself. It's meant to be here. It has a purpose. living and expressing that purpose, which is our genius, our expressive self, is in a way what we've all been kind of searching for. And it scratches that itch and it gives that sense of life meaning that on some level each one of us is looking for. Okay, and it depends on how buried that sense is in each one of us. But when if you're watching this show, most likely the idea of life fulfillment and life purpose and living with a sense of purpose is kind of up there on your list. And the further up it is, the less difficult it is to take that risk of like being this aspect of yourself, bringing it out, taking the risk and actually expressing it. So again, back to that quote, if you don't take the risk, nothing happens, basically. If you don't take that risk, you stay the same. And if you want to, I hate to say it in this way, if you want to curse somebody, I'm just kidding, but if you want to, what could be a worse curse than, I hope you stay exactly the same way that you are right now forever? What? In this kind of unfinished aspect of us, where we still have so many things to work out, so many things to discover and explore, so many incredible experiences to have, so many hopes and dreams and kind of visions for our future. If we just stay as we are, no. This life is to keep moving. And whether you move or not, the world is moving around you. I don't know if you've noticed that or not. It will continue to move. And part of your participation in that is to move along with it, taking the necessary risks, not to be reckless, but to bring out your genius. Let us see it. Let us hear from you. Let us hear what you've got within you. Let us see it. Because I guarantee that aspect of you belongs here and is a gift to others. It's your gift, but it's also a gift to others. It's just very interesting how that all works out. So, okay, let's take another short commercial break. And on the other side of that, I'm going to come back with some inspiration to send you guys on your way.
Ben Hummell's writing comes from a deep well of experience, practice, and wisdom. The Genius Way teaches you the life skills you need to find your own unique genius. Summoning Genius helps readers to turn a midlife crisis into an opportunity for personal growth. You can find Ben's books on thegeniusway.com, Amazon, and most online booksellers.
By design, each of us is only here on this planet for a limited amount of time. And we don't get to know how long that time's going to last. So meanwhile, we're all born with a set of gifts to share with our world while we're here. This set of gifts is our genius, and the task of sharing our genius gifts with the world before we leave is left for each individual to figure out for themselves. Most of the time, sharing our genius requires taking a substantial risk, a leap of faith, or even a quantum leap to do so. The alternative is to remain a smaller and less expansive version of ourselves. And so, the risk of staying small when we're meant to grow is a greater risk than taking a chance and falling short. And that is our show for today. I'm so glad to be here with you as usual. And now here is your weekly self-inquiry journal prompt. So when you think about your dream, what risk are you postponing until later? Okay? Once again, when you think about your dream, what risk are you postponing until later? All right. And so, friends, until next week, I want to invite you to stay curious, be kind to yourself, and remember that your genius has something to say.
Thanks for watching The Genius Way Show with Ben Hummell. Make sure to visit thegeniusway.com for the resources you need to help you on your personal life journey. You can contact Ben at ben@thegeniusway.com. And you can follow The Genius Way with Ben Hummell on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Thanks for streaming The Genius Way Show with Ben Hummell.